Oh, Rocky, you bring up politics for no reason. Okay, fine, you're gonna get my fucking reason.
Who's gonna rock the place? Who's gonna rock the place? Who's gonna rock the place? Who's gonna rock the place?
A lot of people have gotten upset at me in the past for bringing up politics in videos about subjects that aren't inherently political. And honestly, I could see why, given all the misinformation about how politics is handled in media. However, the thing about it is that when it comes to how everything is in the culture, people like to throw politics in subjects that it really doesn't need to be thrown into all the time. But the thing about it is that that's not really something you should ignore because politics is actually something extremely serious that affects human rights, not just for minority groups, but for everybody. So the thing about it is that it's very important to talk about. Now, the thing about it is that people nowadays are starting to focus on culture and trying to implement politics into that. Now, I am going to say this, not everything is political, but everything is cultural. But the thing about it is that because of that, since politics is a subsection of culture, it gets thrown into a lot of parts of the culture where it doesn't belong. And because of that, now everything is starting to become political when, it shouldn't be. Like, really think about it. A lot of mainstream entertainment that's, typically owned by Disney, because they own some of the biggest intellectual properties in the world, get thrown into political discussions. You'd think that if this was the 2000s and you heard Star Wars and real life politics in the same sentence, you'd think people are going nuts. Like, yes, I get it. Star Wars does have some political undertones, and a lot of its inspiration for its fictional politics is based heavily within the real world. But the difference between Disney's Star Wars and George Lucas's Star Wars is that Disney Star Wars likes to put in modern day politics that actually exists in the real world into its stories. Now, the thing about it is that I don't have a problem with feminism in and of itself, but third wave feminism I have an issue with because of its exclusionary ideologies based on other minority groups. And the thing about it is that the Star Wars sequel trilogy is a perfect example of that. You're telling me that the white female Karen takes more of a priority than the black guy? Sounds kind of racist to me, doesn't it? I mean, it's not like they actually don't care about black people. But wait, they don't. Just look at the fucking Chinese poster. Fucking racists. But yeah, as I was saying though, like actually, you see what I mean with that right there? Like they tried making that shit about like identity and stuff like that, and I just went on a tangent about the character's race. Like that's what I mean when I say that, politics is infesting everything. And a matter of fact, that's all you hear about the sequel trilogy with Star Wars or anything Disney Star Wars related nowadays. Either that or, Disney's big old cash cow of Baby Yoda. But aside from that, yeah, like, it's kind of disturbing how, this is. Because if we really think about this for more than 2 seconds, it does start to feel kind of dystopian how almost every single piece of mainstream entertainment is, starting to become overthrown with politics. And it's not just Star Wars. Marvel also goes through this shit too. Oh, guys, it's the MSheU. It's being overthrown by feminism. But, like, here's the thing though. Like, normally I would say that it's not. However, looking at the writing quality of a lot of these, modern day Marvel movies with, a feminist focus to them, they're not really that good. And it's not because of the fact that they're feminist or left wing in nature, or, as fucking neo Nazis would like to call it, woke, right? The thing about these, modern day Marvel movies is that they're bad because they're bad. Like, I'll definitely go into a review of one of these, like, Phase 4, like, shitty movies, but, like, like, it is what it is. Actually, I think a good one to review would be She-Hulk, because, like, that one is, like, the worst of the worst out of all of them, so, yeah. But regardless of, whether or not these pieces of media are good or not, they get like labeled under the woke category just because they have characters in them that aren't, white men. Hell, even Shang Chi went through this, and that was a good movie. Like, oh guys, it's CCP Chinese propaganda, but like, how? Is it because it stars a Chinese man? Like, bro, that's kind of racist, you know? But yeah, so the simple answer to that is why not just watch, more obscure pieces of media? Well, even then, people still want to fucking gatekeep that shit and stop you from enjoying that. Recently, since like about a year, since like 2023, I've been getting into Fooly Cooly and I've been posting about it nonstop. It's my favorite piece of media ever made. However, when I used to be in the SFO server, people used to harass me because I liked that show. And they like to make a ton of excuses. Oh, you talk about it too much. Or, oh, you have a waifu. Or, oh, all that fucking nonsense, right? But the real reason they started harassing me is because it debunks their narrative that they have about a lot of these modern day pieces of media. Like, the thing about Fooly Cooly is that it does what a lot of these modern day pieces of media try to do, but it actually does it in a good way and actually manages to succeed. It doesn't do any of the stupid bullshit that fucking She Hulk or the modern day Star Wars sequel trilogy tries to do. But here's the thing, it does what they try to do, but actually good. It doesn't fall into that bullshit of trying to incorporate real life politics. Yes, it has fictional politics in it, but that's mostly used as an allegory for what's going on, in the real world. That's how it's supposed to be. This is why Star Wars was good in the first place. This is why the X-Men was good in the first place. And it's not a problem where they just put in minority characters. No. Like, you can have a character that's a minority and have it be good. The problem is when you start preaching about it and using that as like a soapbox as opposed to actually telling a good story about a minority character. Black Panther was a good movie because it told a good story. Like, I hate it when people just see minority characters and get pissed off and assume the worst. Like, no, like, a lot of the time, these minority based stories usually end up being good. It's just that everyone keeps talking about the bad ones, and it pisses me off to no end. As you can tell, I'm a minority. I'm Jewish and I'm also autistic, right? And I'm bisexual. And the thing about it is that seeing people victimize other people just because of, these movies, like, this is why I bring up politics and stuff that's like not inherently political about like videos I make. Like, oh, you're bringing up politics for no reason when talking about Skibidi Toilet, even though the person who created that show is a neo-Nazi. Like, how is that bringing it up for no reason when the creator is a neo-Nazi? That makes no fucking sense. Like, you see what I mean? Like, there are valid reasons to bring up politics when it comes to things that have nothing to do with politics nowadays, because politics is infesting everything. And this is something that needs to be brought to the limelight because this is actually starting to become a real fucking issue where everything's starting to become political and people are trying to hide it by saying you're bringing it up for no reason. I feel like these people who fucking say this shit only say it not because they're concerned about whether or not people talk about politics or not, but it's because they want to hide a greater agenda. Like, think about it. Almost everyone who gets upset about bringing up politics in anything are usually a part of the alt right. And they're all like, oh, stop talking about politics as they proceed to talk about their political opinions. Like, bro, we're talking about politics because of you. You are the people who keep inserting this shit into everything, you know? And I don't want to hear that, oh, it's the third wave feminists who are doing this. Bro, third wave feminism is fucking dead because of these fucking turfs. I have a little conspiracy theory where third wave feminists are actually neo Nazis and they're right wingers. And I say this because of the turfs. This is why fourth wave feminism is so much better because it doesn't exclude anybody. Like, fourth wave feminism isn't homophobic, and that's why it's good. While third wave feminists, they're turfs. They're extremely fucking homophobic. But yeah, that's all I needed to say because of the fact that, like, how are you gonna tell me that I'm bringing up politics for no reason when I just made this video giving a really good example of how it's literally infesting everything? And I feel like we need to actively put an effort to have that stop. And maybe do it in a better way where it's more subtle and could actually be talked about intelligently, as opposed to just shoving it in and giving neo Nazis an excuse for eugenics. So, yeah, that's about it. All right, see you guys later.